Hello YouTube, back on the channel with another preview of a set that isn't going to come out for quite some time. But we did have at least a little bit of information that was left to us a couple of weeks ago actually, and I do want to give credit where credit is due. I want to thank one of the commenters, and I'll share it on the screen. It's Erosin98, and thank you to them. They actually posted this comment on the SP Game Used announcement video that I made a while back. I think this was back in April, but they mentioned that there was an SP Signature Edition. And I'll be 100% honest with you, when I looked at it, and I also received some messages from friend of the channel, Josh, and some other folks kind of cluing me in on this, I completely missed it, which probably says a lot about the way that this stuff is getting promoted and getting out there. But regardless, I did get a chance to check this out last night and took a look at it, made a couple of quick notes for myself. I'll go through a couple of these things with you. I'll leave you a link in the description to the GoGTS page and maybe the Steel City and a couple of the other ones if you want to check it out for yourself and take a closer look. And I'm going to say this, if I'm being completely honest, I don't mind it. And there's a lot of aspects of it that I like, but being truthful, I don't love it. And I'll explain kind of that part of the reason why. And part of it was my confusion, because when I initially saw the comment and it said SP Signature Edition, I actually thought they were getting confused with SP Game Used. But then I looked at where they posted the comment and I go, they posted it on the video for SP Game Used. I already did a video on this. But actually, this is a different product. And I am familiar with it from other sports where they've done the SP Signature Edition. But I feel it's kind of odd. So maybe part of my confusion is that I felt it was kind of odd that you would go back to SP using SP Game Used that's going to release later this year, and then also go to SP Signature Edition, listed as 2025, but technically listed for January 2026. So once again, we're into the multi-year thing, which is unfortunate. I'm still not a fan of the whole 3 release thing, but I'll rant about that at the end. Let me go into this here. We'll go through it. I'll leave the link in the description for it if you want to check it out with some of the mock-ups and everything. Like I said, there's a lot of aspects of it that I don't mind, but then there's some other ones that I kind of take a little bit of objection to, and I'll share them with you. So looking at it here is what we're seeing is the configuration is 1 autograph card, which should make a lot of folks happy because they really like to have the autographs per box, 1 base card numbered to 249, and 1 base set parallel, maximum numbered to 99 in every box. Now, from what you just heard there, it sounds like it is exactly that. The box is 3 cards. So this entire set, every single one of these boxes is going to be 3 cards. Your configuration is 20 boxes in a case, a full case, 1 pack comprising a box, and then 3 cards per pack. So a case is actually 60 cards, 2 10-count inners. So just bear that in mind if you get into any breaks or anything. The entire case break is a total of 60 cards if you do a full case. And think about that, and when you're talking about that, 20 of those cards are actually base cards, numbered to 249. So I'll come back to that in a minute, but I need you to bear that in mind. And then I'll actually show you a pre-order price that was listed on one of the websites that I frequent. Obviously, I'm based out of Canada on this channel, but you can knock it down 35 to 40%, and probably that'll be close-ish to where you should expect to be the US dollar price. It's actually not terrible, but at the same time, I'm not a big fan of doing another one of these 1-pack, 1-box configurations. We'll get back to that in a minute here. But let me scroll through. I already talked about the box break configuration being the 3 card based on the insert ratios. Your case hits are 2 multi-signed cards and 3 hard signed autographs. So I'll take that at face value. So I think overall they're basically saying 5 hits of the case variety per case. So kind of interesting, but again, we'll look at it a little bit further. Here is where we run into the first little problem that I'm going to have with this, kind of based on the configuration I just gave you. The base set is 100 cards. I actually don't mind that. And the numbered out of 249, I don't mind that either. But you're talking about a 100 card base set on a case where if you get a full 20 box case, you're only getting 20 cards out of a 100 card base set. So you're talking 5 cases with perfect correlation to complete a base set. That's a bit rough for the set builders. Again, I have a counter proposal and I'll include that at the end, but that's kind of an interesting choice. And we'll get back to that in a minute. So basically they talk about large white background, popped out image, single color design element, deco foil, obviously highlighting some of the design elements of it. Now here's where we get into some stuff that I actually do like. There's certain aspects of it that I do like a lot more than that. As far as the inserts are, obviously they make a big deal out of the fact that some of them are hard signed, which is good. That's a good thing. But it's unfortunate that in what's going to be kind of a high-end-ish, and that's why I say I'll give you the pre-order price in a minute, it's high-end-ish. The fact that hard sign is this big selling point is kind of unfortunate. I feel like it's almost should be the standard, especially when you're getting into the configuration that you're doing here. You've got AEW Incredible, where if you're familiar with SP kind of thing, that's a good one. Hard signed auto set number to 99, full of superstars. We'll look at that checklist down the road. We don't have it obviously right now, but we'll look at it down the road. AEW Graffiti, very clever. Hard signed auto set number to 50. But when you check out the mock-up, I actually like that one. I think potentially that could be a pretty good one. Angles, which I'm a little bit iffy on the naming of convention of it, but conceptually I don't mind it. It's a dual label auto set. So I'll show you an example when we go to the mockups. Authentic Signatures, which is the name of the subset, hard signed auto set with one card following every 5 packs on average. So basically you can say more or less on average, you're looking at 4 of those in a case. And when you see the design, you'll kind of see why my mind goes in a different direction when I was thinking about that, but we'll get into it in a second. Signature duels, dual autos numbered to 50, triples numbered to 25, and quads numbered to 10. So depending on the checklist, obviously, and who you include in it, it could be some very interesting combinations. Unfortunately, since we're looking at something that's going to be all the way in January, obviously we're going to run into the same problem we're always going to run into. I would wager there's going to be some Mariah May stuff in there, by which point she will have already debuted in WWE, which she already has, and she will have already started. Who knows? She could be NXT champion by then. That's how far down the road we're going to be by the time we get to this, and then we're still looking at this product not even having come out. We'll basically see what happens with kind of the down the road path, but this is something that happens when you got these long lead times. Realistically, when we get into these, and I'll give you a bit of a refresher into the next couple of sets that are coming out, you'll see already the rest of the calendar for this year is already kind of situated, and I still don't like the fact that we're still only getting 3 products, and they're so far spaced out, and we're all kind of left kind of just sitting around waiting for a little bit of injection of some energy onto this side of it. Unfortunately, like Upper Deck just doesn't seem to be interested. The products themselves a lot of times will be okay, and some of them better than others, but the reality is there are some really nice individual cards that are coming out of it. But it's just the brand itself, in terms of where it's treated as far as the licensees, it really does feel like it's at the bottom rung of priorities, where it just kind of sits there and, oh yeah, we should get a new set out there, and oh well, here's a e-pack set to kind of tide you over in the meantime. And I really don't think that ever develops any momentum. I could do a separate video just talking about it. Like right now, AEW's kind of stabilized itself a little bit. It was struggling for a very long time. It's not perfect. There's still a ton of things they need to fix. And I mean a ton of things they need to fix. But it feels like the floor has actually stabilized a little bit. But I'm still not getting that same situation happening in the card thing. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that this is not an AEW exclusive problem. Right now, Top/Fanatics has not released a second product since they've taken over the WWE license. So right now the WWE folks are kind of sitting back. Really all there is the Topps Chrome and the Cactus Jack. And there's some other stuff that's been promised and some stuff that could be down the pipeline. Obviously there's a lot of interest, but the momentum is kind of being stalled by both companies because nobody is releasing anything, or at least on a regular cadence, to kind of keep things interesting and keep the wrestling card collectors engaged. But anyway, going back to this particular product, my apologies for the rant. I wanted to kind of get a little bit of that out there. Let's take a look at a couple of these things here. We've got these images here, but actually I would rather use the little PowerPoint here. So this is one of the attachments that's included with it. It shows you a better version of it. So here you've got SP Signature Edition Hobby with Tony Storm and Hangman Adam Page, which, speaking in July 2025, really good choice. By January 2026, will it be? Well, obviously you could modify it by then, but I feel like if we had gotten this out, I would almost want to get this out the door sooner, just to capitalize on the fact that, you know, this is timely. This is a proper set of people for the cover of this particular product. But again, we're going to be waiting until January is kind of the current date, assuming it doesn't get pushed back. And to me, that's a bit problematic, but regardless. First slide here just kind of talks about what we already talked about. Icons, current and former champions, rising stars, and fan favorites. Again, we'll have to see what the checklist looks like. We don't know yet. Here are some images, and I'll show you a better version of it in a second. But here you got your base set orange parallel with Orange Cassidy, very appropriate. And then your gold autograph parallel, showing off Mercedes Moné, Orange Cassidy, and Kenny Omega. And we'll look at this again from a design perspective, but not too bad. Now, I'm actually going to skip ahead because I want to show you the individual cards here. Again, it shows you what we talked about: 1 pack per box, 3 cards per pack, 1 autograph, 1 base set, and 1 base set parallel card, numbered between 99 and a 1 of 1. So there's going to be a couple different parallels in there that are going to give you different options. The other PDF just includes this, which includes the odds. It gives you the different levels. So you can see here all the different parallels. You got a red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and black. So starting at 249, numbered to 99, 75, 50, 25, 10, numbered to 5, and 1 of 1s. So this is going to be basically your chase. Already tough because, as I said, the base set, you're only getting 1 per box. So again, even if you just want to chase the base card to start off with, that may already be a little bit tricky. Going back to our issue on some of these other 1-box products, 1-box, 1-pack products, where is enough of this going to get broken to actually get the singles out in the marketplace? So even putting together the base set for this one might prove to be a bit of a challenge. We'll see basically how that ends up turning out. But you can see authentic signatures, 1 in 5 packs. 1 in 3 packs for the autograph parallels. You have numbered variants, as we talked about, and then the angles, which we talked about, is 1 in 8. Now I want to skip over here because this one actually includes bigger versions of the mock-ups, so it'll be a little easier to see. Here's your base card. I don't mind this. It's got some white space in there. It's very consistent with SP kind of design, so great, fine, we're good there. Going in here, there's a parallel version of it, the orange version of it. We'll have to see what these look like in hand. Here's your gold autograph. Again, borrowing the same kind of design. This one's more of a sticker. Now here we have Incredible. Now what we talked about earlier is these are hard signed. So right here, design wise, I like it. It's pretty solid. Like, just using this mock-up as an example, you got your big head shot and then an action shot in the background with the autograph there. If it's hard signed like this, I don't mind this. So I think this is a pretty decent looking card. The next one though, I like even more. So this is your presumed mock-up for AEW Graffiti. So here you got a Hikaru Shida, presumably in paint pen. So if we're talking about a dark background with paint pen, I like this. I'm a big fan of when they do this in sports cards, and right here, this design, I don't mind it at all, to be honest. Depending on the images you use into it, it could look pretty good, and if they take their time and it's a hard sign, which it looks like it's going to be based on what we were talking about earlier, already I like this conceptually. This would be a fun chase for a lot of folks, depending on who's on the checklist, is going to be really important to it. Next one here, you got your angles, and this is kind of a poster kind of situation, and then you got a duel. So these are going to be sticker autos for sure, but here you got Chris Statlander and Megan Bayne. So right there, Megan Bayne would be one that would definitely be something that would be interesting. And the fact that she did have a little mini rivalry with Chris Statlander, this is thematically appropriate. But again, we're going to be waiting so long that will some of these, combinations make sense by the time you finally get the product out there. But nonetheless, I like at least the thought process of it. I don't mind it. Next one here is the authentic signatures. Here's a Kyle Fletcher as an example. So right here, this takes me back. I'm going to go one more after this, but I'll come back to this. So here's your triple auto as an example. Now, going back here, I talked about a little bit earlier about how I was kind of iffy on deciding to do these SP signature addition to it. I don't mind. You kind of went back to the SP well. You already have SP Game Use, which is going to be coming out this year. And then presumably this is going to be starting off in January. So this is going to be theoretically the first series of 2026, really, even though it's going to be listed as a 2025. I'll tell you what I would have preferred, though, if I'm being completely honest, is I would have loved for this to have just been SP Authentic, with a checklist size that's very similar, 100 or 120 cards, and I would love for these to basically be almost like your Future Watch, similar to your Future Watch autos, so to speak. Somebody like Kyle Fletcher would make a lot of sense in that regard. You could still have the autograph like this. Honestly, you could take almost this identical design and make those last 20 cards the short printed cards. And instead of a configuration where you've got one pack, 3 cards per pack, I would have loved to have seen, rather than that, I would love to have seen something like 15 packs, 4 cards per pack. So you're getting 60 cards in a box, and instead of the price point that we're going to look at, which I'm going to touch on right now. So here's basically what the pre-order looks like. I'm going to click on this. This is one of the ones here in Canada. They're doing the pre-orders. Well, right now they got the pre-order for this at $99, $100, basically $100 Canadian. Again, for folks in the US, knock off 35 to 40%. So give or take, maybe it'll end up being 75. I don't know. But if you follow this kind of price point, you're looking at $100 for 3 cards. Or again, if you make it 75 US, $25 a card is what it works out to. I would almost rather it be SP Authentic, and they go with kind of the configuration that I just outlined and make it $200 a box, or maybe $120 US, and then go with that instead of basically coming up with what basically becomes a high end. It becomes a high end product because even though it's $100 per box, and I'm putting that in quotation marks, you're only getting 3 cards. So if you want to put together the set, you're probably not going to do it from boxes. Again, there's some very nice cards in it. Like I said, this graffiti, I like it. I think this is a good concept. The angles, I think some of these could look pretty good. This is actually a pretty decent design. I would love for this to have almost been the Future Watch auto following kind of what SP Authentic is. But again, this would go back to the idea that I would prefer at this point to have 4 products per year from Upper Deck. I would love a little... in terms of the individual cards, there are some where they do a pretty good job. Even this triples is not bad. Again, it's sticker autos. There's only so much you can do with that. But something like this is a good design. This is a decent design. This I like a lot. And this I think is pretty good too. So stuff like this would be a good draw. You still want to have your 1 autograph per box because obviously folks have made it very clear. They want to have an autograph per box. But if you say 120 US and you get 1 autograph per box, something like the Incredible or the Graph, once in a while you get the angles and something like this, I think that would appease a lot of people. And it would still give them enough of a challenge to build the base set, which there are still some base set builders, especially in wrestling. Give them something to chase, but at the same time, not make it prohibitively expensive. $200 Canadian is not that bad, especially when we compare it to what Flagship is. Even $250, even though I wouldn't prefer that, I could almost justify it, again, compared to Flagship, because Flagship is closer to $150, $160 right now. Well, $200 or $250 isn't that bad by comparison, and it would feel like you're still going a level up. And I feel currently that's what's missing. It's kind of this weird middle zone, because right now where we find ourselves, and I'll go back here for a second, again, this is what the pre-order looks like, but then going forward into what the rest of the calendar here for 2025 actually looks like. This is not going to be looking like until early 2026. The next one that we should probably expect here is Skybox Metal Universe. So 2025 is finally coming in. Well, here you go. 165 for that is what it looks like today. Right now, the date is July 23rd. So we're going to see. Right now, I'm recording this on July the 1st. So in reality, probably in the next week or so, we should probably be seeing a checklist for this. If we get that checklist, then we're getting close to the time where we're actually going to be able to confirm. So maybe in the following, by the end of next week or the week after, if we get a checklist for this, then maybe this would be about the release date. I'll probably get a box or so to check out on the channel. And again, this is going to look, some decent stuff. It's pretty solid. We're going to be looking for PMGs and things like that. A lot of the excitement, a lot of the interest is kind of cooled off. And again, we're going to look right here. Who do you see right here? Mariah May. Again, you're going to have a lot of these products right now where you're going to be seeing stuff like that happen. It's like, it's been so long and there's been enough time where we're going to basically see if the interest level is going to be there. I think the cards are going to look cool. Like the cut above is great. The Energize, I think, is going to be polarizing, but whatever. I'm not really too worried about that. And then Jambalaya, I think some of those will be of interest. But again, will enough of this stuff get opened to get the singles out into the marketplace, which has been a challenge. So this one, we're looking at July. July is our best case scenario. Okay, great. So then moving forward, here's your SP game used, which is the one that I thought we were talking about. 189. Again, we're in the similar price point. So this one isn't until September. Okay. So if we go over here for a second, look at this. Dual autos. And what was in the promotional material? Timeless Tony Storm and Mariah May, which totally would have been an amazing card to potentially pull with the storyline they had months ago. By this point, it loses a little bit of its luster. Tony Storm is still doing a great job, but Mariah May is already in WWE, and she's taken on a new persona. She's a completely different name. Will there still be some interest in it? Sure. It'll be a good time capsule to when that happened, but the longer this time goes by, the more we kind of miss that window, and that's where we're at right now. When we're looking at some of this stuff, I'm back to what I said earlier. Concept-wise, I like it. It's a good idea. There's some good options here. Some of this stuff I think is pretty good, but we're not going to get this until January. And at $75 US or $100 Canadian a box or whatever it's going to be, yeah, I'll grab a couple of boxes. $200 probably is what it'll end up costing me. I don't mind opening a couple of those for the channel, but that's going to be about it. I'm not really going to play into it too much other than maybe a couple of breaks because realistically, you're only getting 60 cards per case. And a third of them are going to be base, which again is great if you're trying to build a base set or trying to chase your individual character, but are you going to be opening up boxes to try to get these hits? And that's why I said, I'm confused as to what the thought process is here. So we're potentially starting a new year where the very first product out of the box is another one of these one box, only 3 cards per pack kind of products, which effectively makes it high end, even though the price point isn't necessarily super high end. It's kind of this weird middle ground that I just can't seem to get my head around. But again, I guess the upside of this, you're going to get 1 autograph per box. So that is 2025, even though it's in 2026 potentially, Upper Deck SP Signature Edition. My apologies since I had to go through I had a lot of stuff to get off my chest when it pertains to these because I am starting to get a little bit frustrated with these particular products because I'm seeing the potential. I'm seeing where it could be really good. Even this concept, like I said, with a lot of the stuff in here. I'm going to chase after some of these singles because I think some of them look really good and I would like to see what they look like in hand. And I think they'll actually work out pretty well. But like a lot of this other stuff, all right, here we go. We've had the chance to see it. Even if you love it, well, you're still probably about 6 months away from seeing it. And by that point, what will the roster have looked like? What will that checklist actually match up? How will the checklist match up to what the current roster looks like? And when you do stuff like that, you lose a lot of the momentum. You lose a lot of the opportunity to connect these two things because as you're kind of watching the product, you want to be able to get cards that are at least somewhat matching up to it. Obviously, with free agency and contracts ending and people moving back and forth, there's always going to be some of that isn't going to match. But in this case, with so much leadway and so much lead time, you completely miss on windows where some of this stuff could work. Because even in the example that we gave with the Statlander and Megan Bain, maybe they'll revisit it down the road, but that would have been a really cool thing to have probably around now. The Tony Storm and Hangman Page, kind of as the cover on the front of the box. I think great timing, except we're not going to get that great timing because we're not going to see this until early 2026. That said, I'll leave links in the description if you want to check this out yourself, including the PDFs that are included. I'll also include the PowerPoint presentations are already part of that checklist. I'll include the link to Steel City here because they've got the larger images on these. And let me know in the comment section, any thoughts on this? Had you even heard about it? If you hadn't up until this point, what do you think? Like I said, I think some of the ideas are pretty good. I think some of these cards potentially will be really nice. Again, I think for the Hikaru Shida fan, I think this would be an awesome card to get. The potential is there. The possibilities are there. But I think being left with kind of thinking about this that far in advance, and we're kind of sitting back and waiting. So we're hoping, we're going to cross our fingers that this month we do actually get Metal Universe, so we at least get something. And then from the Topps Fanatic side, again, we'll be kind of sitting back waiting to see what they have for us on that end. So when and if they do announce something, I'll do a video breaking it down as well. I probably won't spend as much time complaining about the current state of it. just because Topps Fanatics hasn't done as much. So right now they're still in the honeymoon phase. They've only really released one real product, with the Cactus Jack being a second. But at this point, years into the Upper Deck AEW collaboration, I've built up enough frustration with certain aspects of it that's what came across during this. So hopefully you understand that that's where it comes from, just because I feel like it could be so much better, and I would like to see it be better. And all they would have to do in some cases is just get a couple of these releases out the door. Just get some of these things done so that we get a chance to see these a little bit closer in terms of timeliness to when the product is reflecting the checklist. That's kind of basically where I'm at on that. And I would also like to see an evaluation of when you do these kind of high-end-ish products versus when you try to create a little more value. Maybe it's time to do a couple where you really are giving that extra value rather than just setting it up in such a way where, okay, well, here we go. We've got the price point. The $100, by the way, is a really good price point. But for 3 cards, it suddenly loses some of that good feeling that you have from what is seemingly a very friendly price point. Anyway, that's it for now. More videos coming up on the channel. I do have some stuff that'll probably be coming in the next couple of weeks. We're going to have a really fun mail day for that. And definitely some additions to the PC. So hopefully we'll be able to showcase some of that. And then we'll kind of see how the rest of the summer treats us. With that said, like if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much. And we'll catch you in the next one.